Journal. We're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
It's that time of the year, the New Mexico High School Coaches Association North-South All-Star Games, May 31st through June 8th. It all kicks off with small school and large school boys and girls basketball May 31st and ends with volleyball and football June 8th. The New Mexico High School Coaches Association North-South All-Stars. Go to ProViewNetworks.com for viewing options. The Albuquerque Dragway is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks. Visit abqdragway.com for directions and a full event schedule. The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
Welcome to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti. We're going to kind of wind down the school year here today. Along my side is Ed Nunez, who is back from assignment. We have Alden Iowani, our fine director. Hard to believe that the school year is done. Athletics is done for now. ProView's not done because there's going to be plenty of stuff during the summer, but it's that time of year, Ed Nunez, where you break it down. Let's look at the whole school year. Let's go over all the sports and kind of just talk about the amazing year that we had.
Well, James Yotis, you talked to him last week. He was on the show, and he had the Journal Athletes of the Year, the Outstanding Performers on Sunday, which he always does a great job of. There's track and field, golf, girls basketball, women's basketball, football. And so when I read their little bios, it brought back some memories. Dorian Lewis was the football player of the year, and he got hurt against West Mesa. We didn't see him the rest of the year, and Cleveland did lose to La Cueva. He mentioned Connor O'Toole, and Connor O'Toole's getting some looks for some bigger schools. And that kid is quite the athlete. He also did well in track and field.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that actually helped him get some of those looks because now his speed is known.
He's only a junior.
I know.
I was kind of surprised he didn't play basketball.
He got Arkansas and LSU after running the track and field and making a fine time. And
big school looks.
You got a guy who's athletic, who's got size, who can catch the ball, who can run routes, and he's got the kind of speed that these kind of schools look for. So now he's on a lot of radars.
Sure is. So I looked at Josiah Ramos. That was one of the basketball. Maya Rivas was the female basketball player of the year. He had a lot of tough choices to make.
Right.
I saw the show last week, And I know he was on Saturday. I think with Sam, you were gone. So
Yeah, we were talking. Well, I was on the phone. We were talking about kind of the same thing, breaking it down with the football and basketball. But
yeah. So again, I watched your show a little bit last week when I was gone, and so just bringing back all those memories. Gosh, man, there's been some great athletic performances throughout the APS school year, like there always is. And again, you look at Josiah Ramos. What a scoring machine that kid is, right? Then Dominic Rivas, how did he do in the state final?
Right.
And they're coming back. And I still remember Adrian Ortega saying we're not done, just fell a little bit short of saying I guarantee, which, he'd never do that. But, when he said that afterward, right, everyone's celebrating. They got their medals around their chest, the blue trophy's right there. And, Coach Ortega right away, we're not satisfied. We're not done.
Right,
We're not done.
right.
And somebody would be like, some players might be like, hey, man, let me enjoy, right?
Right.
Let me enjoy.
Right.
But with what he has coming back, I don't blame him for saying that right away and putting it in their head like, okay, you know what, we can be just as good next year, watch. So I think there's a lot of things to take away from, as there always is. You covered the 5A baseball championship for ESPN. I did the PA for, God, that was thrilling. It really was. Kevin Andrus, I want to get him on. I know you do too.
you sounded good over the loudspeaker at Isotopes Park.
No, you know what? That was a dream. That was a dream. I had a lot of
The
fun with that.
acoustics are a lot different. You sound great at Santa Ana Star Field, but hearing your voice at Isotopes Park was awesome.
No, I really appreciate that, Scott. I really do. I had a chance. It's funny because before your broadcast, I saw Coach Johns. And I told you Coach Jim Johns, the former El Dorado Hall of Famer, was a little nervous. He really was. You were talking to James. You didn't get a chance to talk. You didn't see Coach Johns. You did, but I mean, he was talking to me. And I said, look, Scott and I talked about that. He thinks you're going to be great. Just relax and talk baseball. He was a little nervous. He really was.
I'm amazed that he showed his nervousness to you because he showed it to me when we first talked about him. We talked about an hour, when I first presented it to him. And he was all, well, yeah, I don't know if I can do this. I said, Coach, you've been coaching how long? You can break down a game. You know what you're talking about. He says, well, I don't know when to talk. I said, that'll be up to me. I'll make sure you know how to talk and you do it. And he was awesome. He was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, we talked about that. I said, look.
In fact, he was he was the perfect color commentator. He's like Brian O'Neill for basketball, and he's like David Williams for football.
Right.
They know the trends. They see the trends in the game, and they can pinpoint them. And he was doing that throughout the game. And he was calling stuff, and next thing you knew, it happened. That's when you know you got a guy who's really, really good.
That's one of the things I said to him. I said, well, who can talk hit and run? Who can talk pitching, hitting, fielding, positioning? Who knows that better than you? I said, how many games did you win at El Dorado? How many games again? And it just kind of reminded him, right? Because when you get on, a lot of people, you've done radio for 30, 40 years, right? A long time. So it's easy for you.
And then at the end of the game, he's all, that was fun. We need to do this again.
See? Yeah. And he was worried about that too, about when am I going to come in? I said, don't worry. Scott will tell you exactly when. And he'll tell you when not to either. And so it was good to talk to him a little bit.
We never stepped on each other the entire game.
Imagine having, again.
The entire game. And this is a guy who was afraid of knowing when to talk.
What a coup to have him. That game, again, Volcano Vista winning the 5A baseball championship, Kevin Andrus first state championship. That game had it all, though. There's some drama there. Pitching changes, almost a stolen home.
I was just going to say, all the way from the first inning, the steal of home when Tristan Schallenberger looked, to me, he went Jackie Robinson because he stole on the pitcher. And it wasn't just like a break. It's like he stole it. He was safe. Everyone's looking at the play. And then, oh, by the way, the catcher tags the batter. They called a strike, which no one noticed. And, it took Dusty Young to explain it to us in the booth.
He was out, though, right? Was Schellenberger out?
No, they ruled the batter out on a strikeout.
Okay.
The batter was out on a strikeout. He was tagged out after the tag of Schallenberger when you remember the umpire saying safe. And then he tagged the batter because it's like, in essence, a strikeout where you throw to first. Well, the runner never made it to first, so he tagged him, and that was the ruling. We didn't know. Jim Johns didn't even know until Dusty Young explained it to us.
Okay. So if Coach Johns didn't know, that tells you something right there. And I thought that was quite a risk that Coach Schallenberger, Shane Schallenberger, sending his son. I thought, wow, if he scored now, man, that tells you, because when's the last time? In fact, Phil Schreier, who's doing the scoring with me. He was a baseball player at New Mexico Highlands, former head coach at Cibola, athletic director at Cibola. His son Sean's the West Mesa coach. Great guy. We were just talking about that. He says, I don't know why people don't steal home more often. Boom! There goes Tristan Schellenberger. So, again, that game had it all. You know, and you can tell the rivalry. Shane Schellenberger went out there to discuss a call with the umpires, and, you know, he walks away, and Volcano Vista fans let him have it a little bit, man. They let him have it. They're jeering, and there's a rivalry there for sure.
This has to be said, though, Ed, to the rivalry. At the end of that game, when they went and they shook hands and they were hugging, there was a lot of class.
No, true.
Both teams showed a lot of class to each other.
Yeah, they did.
And I like that because, you know, sometimes these rivalries, it's like you shake hands, it's like you just kind of, you know, touch the hand. There was a lot of hugging. There was a lot of, hey, you know, great game, this and that. And, you know, at the end of the day, these kids know each other, and that showed on the field, and I was happy to see that.
They probably play a lot of club ball with each other. They know each other very well. So I did see that too. And one of the things the NMA says all the time, sportsmanship, compete with class. I saw, you know, I was at Rio Rancho for 2 days of the tournament, and then at Isotopes Park on Saturday, and all during the tournament I did see that, compete with class. Hardly anybody, you know, one game that I did do, again, Las Lunas. The kid for Las Lunas was almost at the pitch count. I think you did that game too. And, you know, the coach for the other coach is counting 110, 115.
Right.
And that was a little dicey.
Right.
That was a little dicey. And I wanted Benavides, you know, just from Cade Benavides, the pitcher for Las Lunas.
He pitched a hell of a game.
And he had to go out. And they almost came back.
Yeah.
That's some drama there. And you calling the game for Roswell Goddard.
Right.
So there was some high drama there, man. I'll tell you what, 2 out, runner on third, and 2 on or 1 on, I can't remember.
I think it was 2 on.
2 on.
I think it was 2 on.
Second and third.
I don't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was 2 on.
And the kid for Las Lunas finally strikes him out. But Cade Benavides, I was heartbroken because I wanted to see him finish that game.
Right.
Cade Benavides, of course, the Las Lunas quarterback, you know, took over for Garland when Garland got hurt. So we saw a lot of drama out there too, man. A lot of drama out there at the state baseball tournament.
And Cade Benavides, there was no radar gun that I saw. He was popping close to 90, I think. Because when he was throwing his fastball, it was popping. You could hear the club.
I thought he mixed his pitches well too.
Well, he mixed his pitches really well, but I mean, you don't hear that pop in a lot of the pitchers on the high school level. He was getting the pop.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
You can tell he's got that quarterback arm that he just zings it in there.
Well, remember one thing, when Garland got hurt, right, he got hurt against Cibola in a 38-35 thriller. Now, when Benavides takes over, everyone's they don't know, right? They don't know how Las Lunas is, and they get to the championship. They lose, but this kid here is more of a drop-back quarterback, more conducive to what Jeremy Maupin is running out there in Las Lunas as far as an offense. He did one heck of a job when Garland went out. And he's not a runner, right, but a pinpoint passer, man.
Right.
So I really enjoyed watching him play, and then as a pitcher.
Pinpoint pitcher, too.
Oh, man.
I mean, he was
Didn't
throwing
walk many,
strikes.
I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
And he was throwing first, second pitch strikes the entire game.
So they're getting down the count.
I think he got behind the batters maybe 2 or 3 times the entire run that he was in there. If that.
Right.
If that.
No,
he was ahead of almost every batter.
Boy, you were a little wind blown out there, Scott, but you did your job, man. It was a little wind blown.
Just a little wind blown, yeah.
It was
Typical day in New Mexico.
Oh, man.
Typical day in Rio Rancho,
But,
actually. Well, since we're on baseball, before we take our break, let's talk about St. Pius. You know, what a special team this was. You have their star pitcher throw a no-hitter, and that leads up to the pitching performances after that, and they end up beating Artesia for a championship.
Like Artesia, you know, winning in their semifinal by the skin of their teeth, man. Skin of their teeth. I was there doing the PA for that one. Bottom of the 7th, they have nobody out. Runner on third, no one out. Okay. Then the guy hits a slow roller to third. The guy at third, who's a pinch runner, breaks for home. Tag him out. The guy from first tries to make it to second. 2 out. They get them both out, and they win in the bottom of the 9th. But everybody's like, "Oh my goodness, that's a huge base running blunder, right?" But they got over that and they made it to the championship. Hayden Walker, a no-hitter in the game that I saw, a no-hitter, the game that I did PA for. Grant Smith, the shortstop, the New Mexico State-bound shortstop, Bill Duffy's grandson, the former St. Pius coach Bill Duffy, that's his grandson. And, you know, just a great performance by Pius all the way through. They haven't won one since 13, so congratulations to the Sartans.
Yeah, James Yoder's pretty much summed it up. Hayden Walker, best pitcher in the state.
Yeah, and he's a junior.
And he's coming back.
He's a junior.
Yeah.
That day he had the no-hitter, man, just some not overpowering, but gosh.
He's nasty.
Yes, he
I mean,
is.
nasty stuff.
Yes. And again, I think he's gotten several good looks. You imagine him coming back for another year? Man. And, you know,
Right.
he's already throwing BBs as it is,
Yeah,
as a junior.
I would expect, where did he commit? He committed to Pepperdine, but I don't see him going to college unless he wants to go to college.
You're probably right. There's going to be a draft, and he's going to be
He will
amongst,
be a coveted draft pick.
I can't imagine
I
that
mean,
kid.
size, left-hander.
With
you know,
control,
what
you
he
know.
what he throws. I mean, you know, there's no reason to believe he won't be drafted.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Let's take a break now, and we'll come back and do some more of our reminiscing the 2018-2019 school year on the Sports Desk.
The Barley Room, a proud sponsor of ProView Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every ProView Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProViewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this? Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that could happen?
No! Bad dog! Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car crafters, it's like it never happened.
We're back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez. Aldney Irwani and the crew are here at ProView Network's Comcast 26, Facebook Live, and also YouTube as soon as the show is over. And Ed, we were talking football. We'll get back to that as we recap the 2018-2019 school year. I did this last week with James Yotis. We'll do it with you. You mentioned Dorian Lewis, the football player of the year. A lot of people will say he was injured, he didn't finish the season. That shows how good this guy really was, because when he was on the field, nobody, and I mean nobody, could stop him.
What did he have in one game? 300 yards rushing?
Even in the game he got injured against West Mesa, he was going off.
Took a helmet to the knee. I heard in that game against West Mesa. And, yeah, I interviewed him one time for our NMOT show that we had that Manny Lucero, Richard Tripp, and Matthew Aguilar. We did that. And interviewing Dorian Lewis, very humble guy, very humble young man. Thought you had him on your sports show too on ESPN Radio.
Right.
So when you interview him, gosh, I remember, I said all the power comes from here. And man, those are just rocks. Rock solid thighs, right? Like any great running back has. Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, they had the power in the legs. And just a real polite kid. Came from El Paso, Andrus, I think. I'm not sure. Came from El Paso, district player of the year out there. Was going to play basketball also for the Storm. And apparently what I heard, he's a heck of a point guard. Wasn't able to get out there on the court. Might have made the difference there in Sean Jimenez. Maybe
really
winning a couple of games here and there, right?
Yes.
Because a couple of those games that Coach Jimenez in the Storm lost, went down to the last second and lost by 2, by 3, by 1. Combined 3-game totals of losses, 8 points, right? So maybe Dorian Lewis makes a difference there. I don't know that he'll play basketball next year, because if he's back on the field, and all indications are that he will be, he may not try to risk that. So we don't know if we'll see him on the basketball court.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, on the football field, of course, the Storm offensive line, give them credit, because Coach Heath Ridenauer will definitely give credit where he gives credit. He's a great guy to interview. You've interviewed him. Great guy, just like him so much. But the offensive line opened the holes, but this kid, vision, speed, power, right? Vision, speed, power. Okay, one time I did a game up there at Cleveland. He's near the sideline, and this guy tries to tackle him one-on-one. Dorian Lewis took him with his right hand, boom. And I told Roger Holian, who's my color guy, I'm like, did you see that? And of course, Roger knows football like nobody's business. He knows a lot about football.
Right.
We were stunned at his strength with one arm. So he had it all, right? Strength, speed, power, vision. Once he got in the open field, forget it. And what a pleasure he was to watch.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, you mentioned the line. We both have seen the Cleveland line in the past just open up holes that a truck could run through. And Dorian Lewis made plays where he went one-on-one, one-on-two, one-on-three against people, and he made plays himself with his power, with his speed, with his moves, and just everything that he did. Nobody could bring him down. So you could credit the line, but that's what makes this kid special, because it was beyond the line. You could see in many, many highlights, many, many plays, he was the individual difference that made those plays happen.
It was Dorian Lewis.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's times when running backs have no hole or no, and they started loading the box on him a little bit. They had a sophomore quarterback. He did a good job, but all the it's a multi.
And that's the other thing. They were stacking against him and keying on him, and he was still getting his yards.
It's a multi-look offense. It always has been. Trey Watson, the wide receiver, they had some other threats. Davison, the quarterback, the sophomore, did pretty dang well, but they're a run-first offense, no question. And so when he went out, they still had some success. They lost to La Cueva, but gosh, he made things. when he's there, the first 7 games, they're scoring and just ripping off yards and scoring at will. Of course, it's a different look when you don't have that kind of threat back there. And it could have cost them the championship if you put him in there against La Cueva. How does that? Give La Cueva credit though. Their defense went up to Lightning Bolt Stadium and shut that offense down.
Right.
And that's something we rarely see. And when they
With or without
Right.
Dorian Lewis. Because even without Dorian Lewis, look at the game against Monsanto. They were scoring at will even without him.
Right.
So they had a potent offense, and everyone thought, yours truly included, that maybe not a blowout, but it's going to be hard for La Cueva to beat this team because of the weapons that they still had, and La Cueva got the job done. And back to La Cueva, talking about the 5A champion last year, or the 6A champion last year. How about DeAndre Williams? Here's a guy who was sat out for quarters and halves and stuff, a little bit of disciplinary. He comes up with the best game of the season on the biggest stage.
No, he sure did. The La Cueva defense, of course. I think when we talked about it going into that game at Lightning Bolt Stadium, we said it's very hard to beat Cleveland there. Very hard, right?
Right.
They've got the cannon, and that cannon's still kind of like, you hear the score and it's boom, and it kind of always it gets me a little unnerved, right? But they've got it all out there. They've got it all. So we thought it was going to be tough for them to win out there. So the La Cueva defense, boy, they put some hits on them too. They sure did. So give them credit. But DeAndre Williams, the forgotten back, right? Everybody talks about Dorian Lewis. This kid too, speed, vision, all the things that a back needs. Connor O'Toole. Brandon Back had a great defensive game plan. Whoever his coordinator was, and I'm sure Coach Back would give the credit to the defensive coordinator. They just, they really put the hits on them, and I think Cleveland turned it over a couple of times, and they weren't able to overcome those turnovers. So La Cueva was playing with a short field. They just did a great job out there. They really did.
I mentioned this on the show when I was on, as a guest no less, on my own show with James Yotis on ESPN Radio 101.7 The Team on Saturday, that it was one of those situations where a few years ago and even last year, when push came to shove, even though La Cueva had a good quarterback in Dylan Summer when he was healthy, when they needed to get things going, they went to their bread and butter, and that's the running game. And it was decided, obviously, by Brandon Back at the beginning of that game. That's the way that they were going to go. The pass was kind of an afterthought that game, and it was just give the ball to DeAndre Williams.
And look how well that worked out. Dylan Summer, talk about him a little bit. He had up and down with the knee, right? He had some up and down games. Tore his ACL. They actually played in the championship against Monsanto the year before. Went out there and gutted it out. So think about what it took for him to get back on the field. And he had a sophomore, I believe, was backing him up and was really playing well. And so they had that decision to make. So Coach Back had a lot of decisions to make. Everything came up sevens for him, man, in the championship game.
Go back to the football season, Ed, and what were some of the fondest moments that you think?
There was for me, when I went up to Taos and covered the championship, Taos wins. Taos, they beat, I think it was, gosh, I can't even remember who it was. I'll have to think about it, who it was. But Taos winning, Coach Abreu, they win 14-7. And I think it was, I'm saying it was Dexter. I think it was Dexter. But Dexter's driving, and they hold, And Coach Abreu, that's his first championship in Taos. His first, and so the North, man, you know, the Northerners are very enthusiastic, and the Abreu name up north, Leland Abreu, Art Abreu, Coach Abreu, I can't remember his first name at Taos. The Abreu name is real big out there up north. And so when the game's over, I'm trying to interview him on the NFHS network. I just get there, and then 10 more people. His grandfather, Leland, the great Penasco coach, the former New Mexico Highlands coach, they have a moment on the field. Leland Abreu's name is still huge out there, man. It's very big. So seeing him and his grandfather just embrace and hug, that was quite a moment. And I finally get Coach Abreu, and it's an emotional moment for him, the town. That's his first Taos football state championship. So I think for me that was just quite a memory that I took away from that. And of course there's more. There's so much more. We mentioned Dorian Lewis and just a lot of games at Las Lunas. We covered Las Lunas and Belen. Coach Maupin out there at Las Lunas. One of the games that Roger and I covered was the district championship in Belen. And Coach Maupin, okay, so they get the ball back. Las Lunas gets the ball back with about 30 seconds left. And I said, look, he's going to go long. And I said it. And he's going to, you know what, those safeties better take a step back. Sure enough, he went long, touchdown.
Right.
And so Jeremy Maupin, to me, he's another guy. And then I interviewed him for Enchantment Sports just about every week. The guy is one of those, you know, he's just a young, innovative coach. That won't be his last stop. If Las Lunas, you know, he's an former Artesia assistant, right? I'm so impressed by him. One game, they're going to run the Wildcat, and they have their big fullback, Michael Montoya, in the backfield, and he's been running, you know, he's been running up the middle, so they're stacked to stop the run. He drops back and throws a touchdown pass to the tight end. Nobody expected it.
Right.
So Coach Maupin, I think for me, he has everybody off balance all the time. He has a great game plan. And so I think, you know, for me, in talking to him at least 4 out of the 6, 8, 10 weeks, whatever it was, I was on the phone with him a lot. I was really impressed with him and the Las Lunas Tigers, although they did come up short in the state championship. I think their road to the championship should be discussed because they were without Nick Garland, and they were without some other players too. So I thought Jeremy Maupin and Las Lunas did just a wonderful job all year.
Yeah, it was kind of an amazing run by them because it looked like when their quarterback went down, you're thinking, uh-oh, they're going to fall a lot. Not only didn't they fall, they almost got better than what they were before, which was unheard of because their starting quarterback that they lost was outstanding.
One of the best.
I know.
And you know, and then for basketball, Coach Travis Julian planned to use Nick Garland as a forward, as a three-point shooter, as a defender. So when they lost him in for basketball, Las Lunas coming up short in the state championship against the Valley Vikings. If Garland had been out there, again, these ifs don't really matter, but Nick Garland, when he went out, and Roger Holian and I did that game at Community Stadium, and a 38-35 thriller that Las Lunas, again, Siebel had a good team too. Las Lunas hangs on, and we remember seeing him get hurt, and but Cade Benavides came in that game, and Benavides led them to the most important drives of the game, the winning drives. So Cade Benavides came in and just did a great job for Las Lunas. And I think it was the Roswell Goddard coach that told me that Benavides was more the type of quarterback that Maupin wanted to use anyway because of the system he brought in from Artesia. So Garland was good, right? Garland was the best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the state. But when Benavides comes in, it's more fits the system that Coach Maupin brought in from Artesia, and it works out great for the Tigers. They come up short in the championship. But think about, I think they had been run out of the stadium, their own stadium, by Roswell earlier in the year. Roswell ran them out, right? Roswell, and they came back from that. A lot of people were questioning them, and they came back, and maybe it was Goddard. I can't remember. Maybe it was Goddard that ran them out. But they came back, and they went to the championship amidst all that adversity. And then Benavides, as we mentioned, not only a solid quarterback, but a solid pitcher as well. So he's coming back for another year. He's a junior. And so I don't know, Jeremy Maupin out of Las Lunas, they lost a lot of playmakers. They did. Cody Vacu, the wide receiver. You know what impressed me about him now was just the way he gets his game plan and his offensive sets and his ways to score. He'll run a bubble screen. He'll run between the tackles. They'll throw long. He loves to throw long, man. Al Davis would have loved him. You know, Al Davis and the Raiders, the Mad Bomber, Darryl LaMonica. But he loved to throw deep. And so I think for me, as far as football, we covered a lot of, Roger Holian and I just covered a lot of Los Lunas football, and we really were very impressed with Jeremy Maupin, and he's one of the best coaches in the state, there's no doubt.
Absolutely. So when I look back at the football season, I look at La Cueva. You know, La Cueva had an outstanding team, but they weren't getting love all year. It's like, oh, La Cueva's good, but wait till they meet up against Cleveland. They played that underdog role to perfection, and then when you talk to them on game day, Brandon Back, all the team, it's like, we're winning this game. It's not, oh, well, we're at Cleveland, we better find a way to win. It's like they went in with a swagger, which was amazing, and just the way that they won that game, winning it going away, and winning it with the physicality that they had on both sides of the ball. The first touchdown that DeAndre Williams had, where both sides of the line cleared, the biggest hole that I've ever seen cleared against Cleveland in a game that I've covered, that to me was the trend of the game, because it set the trend for the remainder of the game because the line was dominant. And I didn't think it could be against Cleveland.
I think that's an excellent point, because one of the things we always say, why does Cleveland win a lot of the games that they do? They control both lines of scrimmage. And so going into that game at Cleveland, I don't know that anybody would have thought, I know I didn't, that they were going to get manhandled on both sides of the ball on the offensive and defensive lines of the ball, and they did. And so, again, credit to Brandon Back, his offensive and defensive line, controlling both lines of scrimmage, enabling them to win going away. And nobody expected that, because, again, Cleveland, you talk about a home field advantage. You know, again, we mentioned the cannon. I always say, 10 coaches, blue, white, gray jerseys. You know, it's an advantage, man. The band, right? You got all those Cleveland kids in Cleveland jerseys that are coming up in the program. It's a great place to call a game. Gary Chavez, bringing on the PA. I mean,
even though for the championship game he toned it down because it's an NMAA event, but still,
he did, huh?
He brings the excitement level.
Man, I would have missed. Here comes the Cleveland. You look forward to that.
He doesn't do that as profound as he does during a regular season game because it's an NMAA event. But
that makes sense.
There's still a tone in his voice. It's just not the same. But I mean, you hear him under that loudspeaker, and it's like, this is Cleveland Storm football.
Oh man, I've covered. Roger, and as I mentioned, Roger and I have covered many games out there, and it's just a great place to call. Don Crabtree, they do a great job out there. One of their facility guys is going to retire. He does a great job out there, and that's a Rio Rancho. I'm sorry, Cleveland's Don Crabtree, and Don Crabtree does great work over there. And you walk into that field, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful field.
Yep.
So, again, we're talking about the home field advantage. Going into that game, I had Cleveland. I think my pick was Cleveland. I don't know what your pick was, but
my pick was Cleveland also. And the thing was, James Yotis reminded me over the weekend that the wind was ridiculous. And it really hampered the passing game, which I think Brandon Back said, hey, it's windy, we're not even going to risk it. And that's where they went to the power game. And I've seen it in the past, a couple of games in the past couple of years ago that I did for ProView. La Cueva's trailing. I believe one of the games was against Cibola. They go to their patented running game, and Cibola didn't have an answer. They get the victory. Well, this is the same thing. It's like, well, we might throw a couple of screen passes, but we're going to run it down their throat.
Here's the other.
And here's the thing. What's the first thing that you think of Cleveland doing to an opponent?
Running.
Well, that and wearing an opponent down.
Yeah.
And it was the other way around, which I did not, again, think that was possible, even as physical as La Cueva was, because the depth, to me, was on Cleveland's side.
Exactly. So, yeah, some great points made there, and nobody would have thought. Here's the other thing, too, though. Cleveland knows they're going to run, right? They've run how many times in a row, and they still couldn't stop it. So that tells you
that was the amazing thing, and that was what Coach David Williams was saying throughout the entire game, was how amazing it was, how prolific La Cueva was running on a very good defense.
And knew it was coming. And usually they have...
now, James Yotis said the other day that he didn't think that was one of Cleveland's better defenses. It was still awfully darn good.
Yes. Very good.
Let's take a break, and we will come right back here with more on the Sports Desk.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments...
This is ridiculous! There's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
Ah!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Talk to State Farm agent Greg Shamus today.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at ProView Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
It's that time of the year, the New Mexico High School Coaches Association North-South All-Star Games, May 31st through June 8th. It all kicks off with small school and large school boys and girls basketball May 31st and ends with volleyball and football June 8th. The New Mexico High School Coaches Association North-South All-Stars. Go to ProViewNetworks.com for viewing options.
We are back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti, joined by Ed Nunez, who was on assignment a week ago. Alden Iowani, our fine director. We've got Adam Deal in the house. We got Josh Brown. And we've got Jason Pohl. The crew is all here, and we're winding down what was an outstanding school year. And Ed, let's talk basketball. And you mentioned Josiah Ramos, and when I think of what he did to basically help his team single-handedly win the tournament, and when I think back at what Valley did with basically a not-so-good overall record, and they go in and they get things going. Joe Coleman perhaps doing the best coaching job that he's ever done. And oh, by the way, that's saying something for a guy who already won a blue trophy in the past. We had an outstanding basketball season.
We really did. If you think, I'm going to go and talk about Valley first, 13-13 coming into the tournament. My son and I had done the district championship when they lost the Hope, and I had to say at that time I didn't see a way that they could beat them.
They weren't even in the conversation.
No, they weren't. But look what they have, okay? Chavez, Hiron, Baker, they're coming back, by the way. A lot of these players, Oyeku, a lot of these players are coming back next year. Most of them are coming back. So I didn't see that. The Hope, which Hope, again, we mentioned Cleveland's home field advantage. Hope's home court advantage for basketball. I don't know how many they lost over there in the last 10 years. Maybe many. 3, 4 or 5 games. So, right. That night that my son and I did that game, I just didn't see where Valley could. They'd already lost, beat them twice. This is the 3rd time. Mm-hmm. They found a way to get it done. Coach Coleman, they had asked him, who I've known Joe for many, many years. I reffed his games, and, I got to tell you, Joe would get after you, man. He'd get after you. He lets you know, and it's, again, nothing but respect, nothing but mad respect for the guy. So they asked him, what did you feel about moving down a class? I didn't like it at first, he said, because you always want to compete with the best.
Right.
Look how it worked out. Los Lunas, a low-scoring game, right, that usually favors the Tigers. And the Vikings found a way to get it done. And Coach Coleman's second title, his first year at 4A, right? Now, Hope's had a stranglehold on that district or class. They moved down, right? They moved down or moved up from 3A to 4A. And so they've had a stranglehold on 3A for how many years? 16 championships?
Right.
Somebody tried to say online that, Coach, that should have been playing in this all along. Nobody could take away those 16 titles. Nobody. When they do the reunions at the Dreamstyle Arena, and here's Coach Murphy's 85 class, take it away.
No.
But Coach Coleman, man, I was doing games at Santa Ana, so I couldn't see how they won in the quarters against Hope. But they did. They got it done. And Coach Coleman and his crew, again, think about how he feels. Coach Coleman is never going to tell you, like Judge Chavez, right? If you ask Coach Coleman, hey, how you guys look? Well, we're not very good, blah, 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 right? Coach Judge Chavez gives you the same. Coach Coleman's loaded for next year. Javon Baker, how much did he grow up?
Right.
Javon Baker was being guarded by Colin Evans. And one game at Valley, they beat Valley. I'm sorry, I said that Hope had beat them 3 times. Actually, Valley had beat Hope at Hope. My son and I had done that game, the one that they beat them at Hope. And Javon Baker had a big game against Colin Evans. And I was very impressed. He's a lefty.
Right.
Colin Evans plays the best defense in that class.
Right.
But Javon Baker had a great game. Derek Chavez, the sophomore, might have the fastest release that I've seen. He'll miss a few, but if that kid gets hot and he's going to be a junior, how much better do you think he's going to get over the summer? Adam Hiron comes back. Oyeku comes back. So if I'm Coach Coleman, I have a smile from ear to ear, but you and I have said this before. Sometimes the best laid plans and who's coming back and who's not, you never know what's going to happen. They should be much, much better, right? Hope loses Dockery and Nidafin. I thought Evans is a senior too. I'm not sure.
I think so.
Okay, so they lose a big core there. They usually have people ready to build from. But, hey, I'll tell you, Dockery and Nidafin, how big are losses are they? They're big losses.
No, huge losses. Here's the thing. So I had a chance, along with Brian O'Neill, to do the first meeting when Hope played Valley, when Valley played Los Lunas at Los Lunas. They were without Shea Oyeku, so Derek Chavez was the focal point, and Baker wasn't quite there yet. And then during the championship run at the pit, Javon Baker, you said he grew up. He ended up being one of the superstars of that team, and Shea Oyeku put the team on his shoulders scoring-wise. Championship game, I believe it was either the title game or the semifinal game. Derek Chavez did not score his first 2 points until the final 2 free throws to ice the game. That means that Oyeku and Baker were the ones who took over that game.
Right.
And these are guys who were kind of, sideshows, if you will, to Derek Chavez, because Derek Chavez, we know, can score. Javon Baker totally impressed me in the 3 games that I saw him at the pit, the quarterfinals, semis, and the finals. I mean, talk about a guy who grew up. I kept saying he looked like he was a senior, the way that he was playing, the way he was dominating, the way he was just boxing out, being in the right position at the right time. He did everything that a coach wants out of a big guy, and he's only, 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", 6'5".
Plays much bigger.
He played like a 6. I
Right.
made mention over and over. He was playing like a 6'7", 6'8" guy because of the way he was using his body.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And Shea Oyeku was just, when they needed a point, they went to him, and he was just fabulous.
Yeah, he really had some tough shots in that game. A lefty, right? I think he's a lefty too, I think. Baker, a lefty. Oyeku may not be a lefty, I'm not sure, but gosh, what I think he's gotten so much better at is breaking the defense down one-on-one. He's quick, he'll step back, and if you don't close out properly in the right defensive position, he'll go right by you. He's that quick. Him and Isaiah Dockery, I'll tell you, when they played against each other, those were some battles. They really were. They had a lot of mono one-on-one battles against each other. So those, Dockery graduated, so you won't see him back. But those were some great battles.
Couple more minutes before we throw it to our final break. On the 5A front, again, Josiah Ramos, when he wants to do something, he does it. I kept making a mention, you know, he was hitting three-pointer after three-pointer. He was making unbelievable shot after unbelievable shot. And I made a mention to Brian O'Neill. He does not believe that he can be stopped. And he shows it because when he wants to do something, he does it. And I haven't seen that many players who are underclassmen, but he does.
Think about it.
He is so fun to watch, it's ridiculous.
So quick, right? So quick, and shoot, get to the basket, shoot the three. One of the shots that he made against Cleveland from half court to put it in overtime, right? And you're not even going to really challenge it. You don't want to foul. You're thinking, go ahead and shoot that. He made it. They win in overtime.
Right.
So this kid is special, and I thought Dominic Rivas, in the state championship you did it with Brian O'Neill for ESPN Radio, we're watching up top with my ProView, my ProView family, man. And gosh, was that a great pace or what? And Dominic Rivas, again, his father won a championship with Albuquerque High in '93. His father, Dominic Sr., was a heck of a player himself. So to see, he's got another year, and I thought he grew up in that championship game a lot. You know, Sutphin, Gaxiola, they had a lot of good players. They really did. Plus, Adrian Ortega, they've been in the system for how long playing together? How important is that?
Right.
They've grown, just like Hope. Hope's been playing together. They've been playing together. That's a solid core right there. And I just was very entertained by I know you were too, doing that game at Dreamstyle. What do they have, 14 there?
Well, that's the thing. I wanted to say that too. Santa Fe brought the crowd. Santa Fe brought the game. And James Yotis the other day said it may not have been the biggest crowd. It may not have been the loudest crowd. That was one hell of an atmosphere.
No, it really was. And I liken back to 78.
And a great pace, like you said.
Oh, man. At 1978, Albuquerque High plays Santa Fe for the championship. And I was there and I remember. Santa Fe comes out and the Demons have more fans than Albuquerque High, if you can believe that.
Right.
They did, I remember.
Right. Well, they had a lot of fans that day. We'll take a break and close things out here in just a moment. You're watching the Sports Desk.
The Albuquerque Dragway is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks. Visit abqdragway.com for directions and a full event schedule.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this? Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog! Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
It's that time of the year, the New Mexico High School Coaches Association North-South All-Star Games, May 31st through June 8th. It all kicks off with small school and large school boys and girls basketball May 31st and ends with volleyball and football June 8th. The New Mexico High School Coaches Association North-South All-Stars. Go to ProViewNetworks.com for viewing options.
Back here on the Sports Desk, Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez. Thanks to Ald Niawani for being the director. The whole crew is here. And now, Ed, the season is over, and it gets on to the next round. As you know, Steve Davis, we always joke about it never ends at ProView Networks, but now it's All-Star time.
Oh, yeah, yes. We've done, All-Star games with ProView. I've done them for, seems like 6-7 years now. So. And they're always entertaining because some of the kids work out, right? Some of them still remain in shape. Some of them haven't picked up a basketball since March.
Right.
And you can, because basketball is a game of short sprints. My son just recently started playing. He hadn't played for about a year because he broke his foot. And I told him, I said, son, take it easy at first because your lungs will scream for air. So they're entertaining, though, because those kids are still giving the effort, even if some of them haven't played.
Yeah, because a lot of the kids, it might be the last time that they play on a competitive level.
Right.
In a true game, and there you go, the All-Star schedule, North-South All-Stars, small, large school. The football is on June 7th and 8th, volleyball the 7th and 8th, and boys and girls basketball on the 1st.
You know, it's always awesome to see.
Last year they started combining the All-Star games. In the past, they used to go in July, but now they all happen this week and the next week.
And that's something, one thing Buster Mabry works so hard on these games.
Mm-hmm.
He really does.
Yes, he does.
He does, and he's got to get the rosters out and welcome everybody. They're always entertaining to me. They really are. You get to, again, there's some rivalries there that, you know, some kids you're playing with that it was your biggest rival.
Right.
And so those are always entertaining, your teammates. And sometimes for some of them, for most of them, Scott, it'll be the last time they play in an organized game in their lives, as far as, you know, you're playing with referees and your team, well, your team jersey or a jersey,
right,
playing with referees. They'll play intramurals, but this is the last time they'll play in an organized, structured game in their lives.
And that's the thing. We've seen it on the volleyball level, the basketball level, the football level. They play like they're playing in their final game and show a lot of passion. It's like, you know, you don't see any going through the motions, I think is what I'm trying to say. And that's what's nice about these games, because they take pride, and that's the good thing about getting the right players in these games. And that goes back to what you were saying about Buster Mabry, getting the right players, picking the right players, and just the whole thing.
You know what? There's always going to be some discord about who was picked, who was, right? It always doesn't matter. Buster does a great job. He's got a busy week all week because he's got to get the coaches in, meetings. This is a big week for Buster. He's got a lot of work to do. He's on the phone 24/7. He's got to get the rosters, the jerseys, the coaches. Everybody's got to, you know, fit into all this, a lot of stuff to unpack. And yeah, it is. And then the coach, right? It's an honor to coach the North-South game, I think. So some of these, yeah, there's basketball in June. People are probably like, oh man, it's been, you know, since March since we played. But yeah, there's a lot of fun time associated with these All-Star games. So I'm looking forward to them.
Less than 2 minutes, Ed. Just sum up the season, sum up the All-Star games, and got to be mentioned, baseball and softball also very competitive on these All-Star games.
Gosh, I remember when they used to play them, you know, series of the All-Star baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I think it's a great experience for these kids. All-Star Weekend is important. I participated in 1980, and I never forgot it. And it's been a long time, but I remember Bobby Gibbs. They treated us to a great week playing with people that you never played with, right?
That's the fun part.
Our game, and I think I told you this before, the South with Bubba Jennings and Wallace Williams, they beat us 120 to 113 at Dreamstyle, the pit, when they still got 12,000 for that game. And that was
right.
So, yeah, I remember I had a great experience with it, and I think these kids will have a great experience too.
Yeah, you were used to scoring, so that's kind of cool. Well, hard to believe that we finished the school year. Now we kind of go through the summer months. We'll talk about the All-Star games next week, and then obviously we will be talking about what's going on with Lobo Sports and everything else as the summer progresses.
Looking forward to it. Out on the Lakers today about, you know, and I'm just going to mention this, it's more of a show than people think. It's way worse than people think. So hopefully the Lakers, who are my favorite team since '72, will get their organization organized. It's bad right now.
Yeah, listening to LA Sports Radio over the 5 days I just got back last night from my final trip. That's the bad talk in LA.
Oh,
so,
man.
And it's hopefully not getting worse, but we'll see. Thanks to Alden Ioane. He's Ed Nunez. I'm Scott Coletti. Talk to you next week on the Sports Desk.
Car Crafters, proud.
All right.
It's that time of the year. The New Mexico High School Coach